Pew. 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 Pew.
Aww.
Pew. 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 Pew.
Aww.
Pew. 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 Pew.
Pew. Oh, Space Invaders! I've never played. Perhaps this further enhanced version of a Steam game that was an enhanced version of the DS/PSP release will quench a want to play the original that I never knew I had. Well, my expectations are high, my want to play is renewed, and Andy is here to play the multiplayer mode.
Yay.
Let's see what Space Invaders Forever has to offer.
On the outset, Space Invaders Forever contains 3 modes. The first mode is Space Invaders Extreme, an enhanced version of the 30th anniversary release on Steam. For the multiplayer, there's Space Invaders Gigamax 4 SE, in which you and up to 3 acceptably distanced friends can take on the original Space Invaders mixed with some modern twists on the classic gameplay. Finally, for mobile game lovers, there's Arkanoid vs. Space Invaders, which our copy of the game seemed to lack for some reason. It's a mix of Arkanoid, a breakout clone, and Space Invaders. It seemed like an entertaining mode according to the way James pantomimed it to me.
I did my best. Anyway, Space Invaders Extreme. Extreme is right because the visual and audio noise is turned up to 11 in this mode. There's so many bars and lights it becomes hard to tell what's enemy bullet, what's flashy background, and what the pew to shot level even mean. Some of these bars are helpful as they display what enemy wave you're on, and the enemies you've defeated in a row or chain. On the right side you have a bar that fills as you defeat enemies. Defeating 4 of a certain color in a row will drop a power-up that will give you a bomb shot, lasers, water shots, and a shield.
This mode's way of progression is via high score. Remember that? You will play 5 levels in campaign mode, and the way you move through them is entirely dependent on how high your score goes in each one. Score low, you move toward an easier level. Score high, you move toward a harder level. Beating any 5 in any order unlocks the extra row at the bottom, which are the hardest levels to get through, specifically because of the bosses. Oh, bosses are a thing, and are at the end of every level. They're much harder, tougher, larger enemies that are more patience-based than they are skill-based. Specifically this split into 2 then 4 guy here. He completely reforms every time he rejoins and is just the opposite of a delight to fight.
At least the soundtrack is okay.
I guess. For the multiplayer, we have Space Invaders Gigamax 4 SE. This mode will begin by pitting you and up to 3 friends in classic, slow Space Invader style combat against constantly descending enemies. After defeating them, new enemies show up that move much faster than you, take 3 hits to defeat, and are just generally not fun to fight in your slow spaceship. After those, a bigger enemy shows up. It's big, it's a UFO, and having any less than 4 players feels like an instant loss against them. This mode is largely ignorable.
Finally, the mode our copy of the game couldn't access for some reason. Arkanoid vs. Space Invaders. We can't really say much about this mode because our version of the game lacked it. Oh well, hopefully you guys enjoy it. You can even buy it in app stores and try it out.
Space Invaders Forever combines the classic, retro gameplay of Space Invaders with all the sensory overload you can handle to deliver you a very lukewarm experience. The single-player mode is rather dull due to the boss characters that can just wipe your high score off the board. The multiplayer mode is brought down by the same thing. If it had just been waves of enemies that obeyed the same physics the player does, we probably would have enjoyed this game a little bit more. Oh well. Maybe they'll get it right in the next re-release of this game.